Welcome, everyone. My name is Sean Fraser from IWI. I'd just like to thank everyone for taking the time out of their day to attend our webinar and learning how to improve your margins in the food and beverage industry. Before we get started, just a little housekeeping. If I can just get somebody to, in the chat bar, just type yes if they can see the screen and hear me okay, as we have everyone on mute. And also, we will be doing Q&A at the end of the webinar. So everyone can also type in their questions into the chat box and we'll get to them afterwards. As we get going here in this webinar, we're going to cover best practices for food and beverage industry, just to improve efficiencies and reducing that cost of doing business to maximize your margins. The webinar, we're going to focus on 5 key challenges food and bev companies face around forecasting, quality management, to manage their costing, regulatory compliance, and just dealing with obsolescence inventory. A little bit about IWI. We're a trusted Sage partner since the year 2000. We have 2 locations. Head office is here in Markham, Ontario. Second location in Woodstock, Ontario. We have well over 200 plus Sage ERP customers. Specific industries we deal with is food and beverage, as well as wholesale distribution. We deal with 3 different Sage products here. We do Sage Intact, Sage 300, and Sage X3, which we'll be showcasing today. Now, as the dynamic between customer and business shifts, an increasing number of organizations respond to by transforming their business operations to yield economic benefits, including faster revenue growth, higher margins, and lowering the cost of operating costs. Forward-thinking organizations are increasingly turning to business management solutions to help maintain and automate their business processes by reducing the risk and produce new levels of customer and operational intelligence, and ultimately fuel digital transformation that allows them to respond faster to changing customer demands and fluctuations in procurement and production and shipments, and just minimizing the waste of risk of cross-contamination and cost due to spoilage, and reduce that risk and the scope of a recall by ensuring quality, traceability, and safety to all material and ingredients, and just quickly adapt procedures to changing regulations and compliance requirements. Challenges arise when operations are using disparate legacy systems and just rely too heavily on Excel and manual processes, and just out-of-date infrastructure overall, with a major concern for many manufacturers. Just around forecasting, the lack of analytics results in poor visibility into purchasing decisions. Vendor relationships are hard to manage. Lack of truly understanding inventory on hand and slowly moving inventory. And just documentation around lead times creates challenges around the forecasting. A crucial requirement for all food and bev manufacturers is the ability to keep up with new environmental and safety regulations and successfully maintain quality and achieve regulatory compliance. This becomes very difficult and time-consuming in old legacy systems. In a global CEO survey on manufacturing competitiveness, Deloitte identified cost, availability of labor materials, cost competitiveness of materials, and availability of raw materials as the 3rd most competitive driver for food manufacturers. So it's crucial to understand how much your process manufacturing is spending each week, month, and quarter to fully understand your true cost of goods. Product spoilage can hurt your business. If your warehouse stores perishable goods and you're relying on manual inventory management processes, you're risking some very real pain for your business. Anytime you're working with items that have a rigid expiration date, it is essential to not only have accurate counts of the items that it's updated in real time, but also accurate information that tracks the date the item came into the warehouse. To overcome these challenges, you need software that will help you raise that productivity bar, break new ground, and just ensure compliance so you can stay ahead of your competition. Having that complete 360-degree view of your business is crucial in these ever-changing times. Companies are looking for ways to transition themselves and provide their business a competitive advantage over the competition. They're looking for tools to better manage their business to allow them to work smarter, not harder. Reduce that human interaction by automating their processes and reducing that human error, and doing more with less to streamline their processes while manufacturing and while lowering their costs of doing business overall. And just that real-time meaningful analytics that they can trust, and just an overall greater visibility into their entire organization. As we transition into how X3 can help and handle these 5 common challenges, we're going to start with the forecasting. And for companies that deal with some multiple, food companies deal with some of the most volatile supply and demand scenarios in business today, with volatile markets. Bad weather strikes, crops fail, a new food trend pops up, and all of a sudden you have way too little product or way too much. Although some elements of this unpredictability will always remain, good intelligence can help you predict seasonal changes in supply and demand so you can stock up or sell out accordingly. X3 provides that intelligence in an easy-to-use interface. Most food and bev companies struggle to anticipate the demand, leading to wasted stockouts or lost sales. With the powerful intelligence tools, X3 can quickly adapt and draw on historical data to produce accurate forecasts, saving you money. We'll show you how you can reduce your excess inventory by 10 to 15% and improve those inventory turns. We're going to free up working capital and free up 15 to 20% of cash that's tied up into inventory, and just overall improve your fill rates by 2 to 10% and eliminate stockouts of raw material that could stop production, and just reduce time on forecasting by as much as 50%. Controlling quality management at all stages of the manufacturing process is critical. Track and maintain quality specifications and test results for raw materials, intermediates, and finished goods at various stages of their life cycle. We're going to show you how to conduct inspections throughout the packaging and production and automatically quarantine suspicious or substandard items for further inspection or disposal. QC testing and analysis covers raw materials, intermediates, and finished goods, as well as all the test results are recorded and maintained together with production history. Around the costing, measurements of production process as well as a sound pricing strategy is based on valid cost information. Using traditional legacy software, process manufacturers have long had difficulty setting up and maintaining such vital information to control your costs and truly understand your cost of goods. With Sage X3, we can streamline and automate those processes as cost data is integral to defining and producing product. Once a recipe is created, costs for intermediates and finished goods are automatically calculated based on user specified methods. Being able to track material, labor, machine overhead, and associated costs, etc., to truly understand your cost of each batch is vital and very easy to do in X3. Both standard production reporting and purchasing functions automatically update actual costs, ensuring timely updates and accurate cost calculations in real time. And armed with timely business decision-making tools such as variance reports, margin analysis, and work in progress reports, managers can be more informed, making their decisions and truly understand the cost of making those goods. Sage X3 supports complex compliance regulations for the global and provincial standards, such as GMP, BRCGS, FSMA, SQF, and HACCP standards. For example, a well-implemented ERP solution can assist with these HACCP requirements. Most specifically, these requirements relate to, for example, traceability. A good ERP solution will allow batch and lot traceability. This will allow food processing companies to not only track and trace finished goods, but also all components used in the processing with forward and backward traceability. This will allow full traceability if there's any product-related issues like contamination, so you're able to provide a seamless recall. Principle of HACCP is monitoring of critical control points with traceability and manufacturing routing. Through Sage X3, these critical control points can be easily monitored. Monitoring of procedures and process flows is important in the food industry. X3 can assist with document management and retrieval of these, and just automate that quality assurance procedures such as sample testing of raw materials and finished goods. An example is X3 can force a user to do a QA sample test prior to receiving raw materials into the warehouse. Other procedures we can automate is certificate of analysis workflow, etc. HACCP requires that food companies have access to this data and good record keeping. X3 reporting tools makes access to this data very easy. Even large volumes of this data can be kept for several years and accessed with a push of a button. Now, inventory management is mostly about understanding your customers and making sure you're matching their demands Also identifying inventory that is at the end of a product life that has not been sold for or used in long periods of time. You need to know your reorder point. Technology can help you predict the right time to order more inventory and how much you'll need to order. You need the ability to have granular insight into your inventory levels. This allows you to know how much inventory you have at all times. And just understanding inventory items that have time-sensitive shelf life, it's vital to get a handle on that obsolescence inventory, and just track those expiry dates using FIFO picking methods, and just prioritize picking so all the stock is shipped out first. And also you need to identify the seasonal trends, especially when it comes to, as I mentioned, the seasonal trends, and just when to avoid reordering items that are no longer going to be needed in the upcoming season. So at this point in time, I'm going to pass it off to Hitesh. Oops, sorry. Who's going to? He's one of our Sage X3 sales engineers, and he'll start with the inventory forecasting piece.
Thank you, Sean. Can everyone see the screen okay?
Yes, I can see it, Hitesh.
Perfect, thank you. Hello, everyone. As Sean said, my name is Hitesh Tyani. I am a product specialist at Sage for Sage X3. It is a privilege to be speaking with you today for this particular session of Sage Inventory Advisor, and I appreciate your time. If you look at my screen, this is a very simple visual process diagram outlining everything from a setup through to traceability perspective. My focus is going to be inventory optimization, and that is actually done through a module called Sage Inventory Advisor. When you launch into Sage Inventory Advisor, you are given this particular dashboard. Sage Inventory Advisor is an affordable solution that optimizes your inventory. It's an inventory planning tool that is designed to tap into the rich transactional ERP data that comes from Sage X3. However, the Inventory Advisor component harnesses this rich information into an engine that is based on industry best practices. It also uses analytics to provide recommendation for your inventory stocking and replenishment levels. You can have one or multiple locations, and for any given item, for any given location or total combined location, the Inventory Advisor shows you your current inventory, what the recommended inventory should be, and all that consideration is done using what you have on hand, what you have on order, what you have in terms of your customer orders, and what is your lead time from each of your supplier. In addition, if you really look at this particular section, you will notice that at any given point in time, the Sage Inventory Advisor will take a given item, and it will take that given item and it will put that given item into a metric. So depending upon your ABC classifications, where in a typical Pareto principle, your A items are typically 20% of your total items that make up 80% of your transactional volume, they are considered A. B items are next 16% of your items that basically, or next set of items that make up 4% of your volume, and C items are the bottom 4% of your items. So we categorize your items in A, B, and C classification, and then we categorize your items in terms of, are they moving in a high volume, in a medium volume, or in a low volume, and the metric basically tells you that this is an A item, it's valuable to your business, it's part of your bread and butter, and it's also a high moving item. Once we have that metric, and once you have the actual location, in this particular case, I'm going to use the LA warehouse as opposed to my total inventory. Once you have that dashboard and that location in place, you simply turn around and say, what is it that I need to do today? The Sage Inventory Advisor module helps you answer two questions. What do I need to do today in terms of ordering new items And what do I need to do today in terms of my surplus items, items that may become surplus or they may just actually end up becoming obsolete. Furthermore, Sage Inventory Advisor will give you the top 5 items that you need to focus on today. So if you look at this particular pattern, right on the left hand side, I have my total stock holding. If I look at my total stock holding, and if I change my particular location on my dashboard from total to LA, you will notice that I have a pattern. This is my pattern for inventory for last 12 weeks. It can be my pattern for days, or it can be my pattern for 12 months. The bottom half of my pattern is basically what the Sage Inventory Advisor model tells me I should be keeping in terms of my inventory. The top half that includes the larger, the higher shade of blue is basically the excess inventory that I have been carrying. Left hand side is the starting point. The red bar is actually the latest calculations that we have done. It could be this morning, last night, or as of right now. Now, when you look at this model, I have total of $10.4 million in inventory that I'm carrying at cost. However, I only really need to carry 5.5 million in inventory. So I'm carrying excess inventory that is actually tying up my working capital that I can free up if I use the suggestions that are provided by the Inventory Advisor module. The next set of tile tells me what is my excess stock. I am carrying excess stock in terms of $3.3 million worth of stock. Here are the top 5 items that I'm carrying excess stock for. Here are their values based on my cost. And if I so choose, I can actually go look at my report, and the report will show all 2,191 items that I'm carrying right now. And I can filter through that report and start making some rapid decisions. Here are my surplus orders. Here are orders that I haven't quite placed with my supplier, but if I do place them according to Sage Inventory Advisor, I will be having an excess inventory furthermore of $1.7 million in value. Here are 414 items that make up this $1.7 million in value. And here are my top 5 offending items. So if you really look at it from an inventory optimization and planning perspective, if you do nothing else, and if you simply focus on the top 5 items today, you will actually be able to help improve your fill rate. You will improve your customer service. You will reduce the risk of losing your customers, and you will free up capital that is otherwise tied down in inventory that isn't moving. If I move back to the second set of tiles, here Sage Inventory Advisor tells you that your current fill rate is 88%, meaning 88% of the time you're able to fill the orders that the customers have placed. However, if you follow the advice that Inventory Advisor is asking you to follow, your fill rate will go from 88 to 96, and you will be carrying inventory from 10.4 to 5. So you'll be saving money, and you will be increasing your customer satisfaction and reducing your risk. In terms of reduction of my risk, here are the items that are stocked out. They add up to $822,000 in value. Here are the top 5 offending items that I have that are stocked out. And here are items that are going to be potentially stocked out. So if I look at this, I realize that this is a B item, which adds up to 16% of my total sales volume. Medium moving item. This is an A item, but it's low volume item. This is an item that is an A item, and it's also moving in a medium fashion. Let me just click on this particular item. When I click on this particular item, you will see all the details that you want to see at your fingertip. What is my selling price? What is my volume? All this information comes from Sage X3, your ERP system. Who is my supplier? What is my lead time? What is my safety stock? Again, this information comes from Sage X3. However, This is where the magic of Inventory Advisor in terms of optimization comes into play. My stock on hand is 0. I have 135 units on back order, so I'm already short 135 units. I have 1700 units on order. That gives me my net stock of 1565, and Sage Inventory Advisor tells me I need to further place an order for 977 units based on the forecasting that I have in place. Now, the question that you may have is, how do I know the information about what I have on order? If I simply go below this particular screen, I have all my purchase orders. You have the detail. You can basically take these purchase orders, combine them, delay them, move the dates around. You can look at your supplier performance, or you can look at your customer orders. The decision point here is with you. It's on your fingerprint. So you don't have to go shuffling multiple tabs or multiple different screen sets. If I move away from here and if I look at the history and forecasting place, the blue line that you see here is your history. I have 27 months worth of history saved in this particular module based on your previous monthly sales volume. And this particular tool provides you a computer generated forecast. So what typically ends up happening here is we take each individual item, we put it through 15 different forecasting engines. We try to figure out the best forecasting methodology that suits this particular item based on your history, based on the trends in the history, and then we decide a particular methodology that will work from a forecasting perspective. We then go and we end up creating a 12-month forecast, which you can actually see at a glance here on your screen. If you so wish, you can go to the forecasting screen and you can start making manual adjustments to the computer generated forecasts that we have created. This is something we can do for every single item, and this is something that we do automatically. So as Sean was mentioning before, what happens is when our customers turn on the Sage Inventory Advisor module, they typically find that right out of the box, their fill rate improves anywhere between 2 and 10%. Their excess inventory reduces anywhere from 10 to 15%, and some of them end up saving up to 50% in manual work because instead of having to use manual tools or spreadsheet, you simply end up using a single tool that gives you everything you want at your fingertip. More importantly, because I have multiple warehouses in this particular case, I can simply go click on my warehouses, and at a glance, I know that in 2 of my warehouses, I am tapped out. But in the Chicago warehouse, which is my central warehouse, I do have some excess units. So in the short term, while I wait for my suppliers to actually send some information, send some products to me, I can tap into the central warehouse and have my products either drop ship to my customer from the central warehouse or bring it to my Los Angeles location and ship it from LA. Going back to my dashboard and coming back to full circle with my dashboard, this is a single tool that gives you 6 different tiles that help you answer 2 different questions, which are very important. And they are heart of your sales and operations planning. What do I need to focus on today in terms of placing an order? And what do I need to focus on today in terms of what are my stocked out items or what could be potentially stocking out? If you do nothing else, you follow the dashboard that we have given you, you will find tremendous optimization and freeing up of your capital. This now becomes a starting point because you have your forecast, you have your customer orders in place, and now from here we move into either purchasing and or manufacturing components. So at this point, I'm going to transition this particular portion of the presentation to my colleague Abhinav. Thank you so much for your time and thank you for being with us. Abhinav, over to you.
Okay, thanks Hitesh for passing the control. I'm about to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you to the webinar of Food and Beverage from IWI Consulting, and we are going to showcase Sage X3 focused on the food and beverage industry. So just a brief introduction about myself. Myself as Abhinav Meni, and I've been working with IWI Group as a senior solution consultant, and I've been associated with the food and beverage customers for more than 5 years in solving their challenging problems, by leveraging technology. Sage X3 is a single system which has inbuilt industry-specific capabilities for production management, supply chain management, food and safety, compliance from different standards, quality control, and traceability. And all these capabilities are in one place, and they are easy to take control of for your entire business. So, like I can say, Sage X3 is more than an ERP. It helps businesses and professionals plan and make better decisions. And the good thing, as Sean earlier mentioned, the best thing about Sage X3 is it's a browser agnostic tool. You can run this application anywhere from you can connect it from anywhere, be it Google Chrome, Safari, Mozilla. And this application is available in both kind of architecture, be it a total SaaS solution or be it a on-premise installation on the servers. And I'm going to give you an overview of the capabilities of the application. So as you can see, like you can see the process map. This is a full-blown process map of the capabilities of Sage X3. It has an end-to-end flow capability right from the CRM, and within CRM, if I click on the CRM button, it has the capability to track your lead, prospect, customer, sales rep, markets, and then it can help track opportunities, tracking quotes, so on and so forth. So it has capability in all kind of CRM activities. Going back to the subway map, once the CRM tracking is complete, we can raise sales code in the system. So within sales code as well, we can do the negotiation with the customer. And once the sales code is finalized, we can write in X3, convert the sales code into the sales order. And from the sales order itself, we have the capability of triggering the approval signatures, and Sage X3 sales orders support all different kind of scenarios, be it a normal sales order, a loan sales order, contract orders, intercompany orders, and intersite orders between different sites of any organization. And once the sales order is successfully booked in Sage X3, we can send a sales order acknowledgement email with the attached sales order summary to the customer for acknowledgement. And once we have done that, then comes the next part in any business scenario, which is running the material resource planning engine. So material resource planning engine as inbuilt capability takes the input from already existing sales order. It takes the input from the sales forecast, as Hitesh shown earlier, like the sales forecast, which is built on the working engine from Sage Inventory Advisor, is seamlessly integrated into Sage X3. It takes the input from sales forecast. It takes the input from existing sales order, existing work orders, and based on all those input parameters, we can run the material resource planning engine for Sage X3 to suggest that what should be the next step ahead in our planning. So be it raising, getting suggestions from the system to get the purchase orders, like where we are going short on the ingredients, or be it producing extra finished goods where we are anticipating that we might get additional sales order in future, like out in another few months. And also it takes into account the ROP, which is reorder point. So in Sage X3, we can define the reorder points or minimum threshold on all the products. And then based on these inputs, the suggestions are generated in purchasing workbench, which is nothing but a buyer workbench, and then manufacturing workbench, where it's a workshop manager or workshop planner workbench, where the system generates the suggestion. So if I may open one of the workbenches, which is manufacturing workbench, and once the screen is loaded successfully, it's an enterprise planner screen, so which is basically a planner. So I have the capability of narrowing my results based on products, based on allergens and based on requirement end date. So I can run this planning at the end of this week. By Friday, what do I need? Or like it's basically the requirement date. So I'm not going to put any parameters for now. I'll just click on search on the right top. And as you can see, the system generated 4 work order suggestions. So if you see, the 5th one is a suggested work order for this product, and this is the quantity which is required. And then it gives you the various other details, like what's the date, when it should be produced, what kind of transaction should it be, like what's the source, whether it's an MRP engine which produced this or whether it was a manually input order, so on and so forth. So it gives the whole level of detail. So once we have all these details, I can just click on the action button and I can plan or initiate my work order. So it gives me the capability of, selecting the orders which I want to produce. So similar to this is our purchasing workbench. So I can just quickly open and log in as a buyer, right? And if I click search here, again, it has different kind of parameters, like do I want to narrow down my result for products, for BP. BP is business partners, which is like all my partners in my system, like customers, suppliers, carriers, so on and so forth. So if you see, it is giving me the list of all the suggestions of the purchase order I should place right now. And then we have color coding on top of it. So we have color coding like red, orange, green. So orange means that we have an action pending on these lines, so we should take an action. So it's suggesting me, and again, like I can include all from here, right? And I can just say that, okay, generate the purchase orders for all these transactions, and just click on generate. So that's my workbench for buyers and for manufacturers, for manufacturing planners. So in manufacturing, let's say I have placed a work order, then I can quickly jump to the work order screen and talk about basically what all suggestions or what all work orders are already created. So I am taking an example of this work order for my site NA051. So it helps me track 3 things in work order, or basically do an entry. One is the finished good product, right? And the other one is byproduct. So you may ask, like, how can I differentiate which one is a finished good product, which one is a byproduct? So if I scroll right in this grid, right, on my extreme right, it shows me that it's a type product and the other one is byproduct. So that's one thing. Then we have other fields like loss percentage. And if I scroll to my left, it shows me where should I ship this finished good? Should I keep it within my warehouse, which means keep it within site, or I can directly ship it to the customer directly from the work order. So I have different kind of scenarios catering within work order as well. Then as you can see, there are different kinds of relevant fields, like what's my release quantity, what's my unit of measure, what's the status of the line, so on and so forth. And if I scroll down further, it's giving me the production work order end and start date. It's telling me the lead time, which is 0 in this case because it might be a quick production order for me. Then I have the components, which is nothing but ingredients. So I have 2 ingredients, and these are the required quantity for both of them. And then I can track the scrap percentage as well on both the ingredients. As you can see, there's a percentage scrap of 5% on both the ingredients. That means, like, during the handling of the ingredient while putting into the machine, there was a loss percentage of 5%. That's why if you see on my left, it has already increased it by 0.5%, right? Then comes the operation. So I am tracking all my operational steps as well. So I'm tracking my labor, I'm tracking my machine, I'm tracking my packaging, and within the operations as well, I can actually track the runtime of all these operations. As you can see, it's tracking the runtime, it's tracking the non-productive time, which is basically the breaks, so on and so forth. So I can track all those things within a work order as well. So that's my work order screen. And on my right hand side, as you can see, I can print labels of manufacturing. Once I've generated a finished good or semi-finished good, I can generate the manufacturing labels. So those are few capabilities of work order. And then on top of it, I can produce various work order documents like material issue slip, production slip, routing report, what's my yield on the product. So those are few things which I can do as part of work order. Then I can do production scheduling. I can schedule the production work orders on different work centers. So work center means basically different machines. I can do the production scheduling and optimization of the production orders. Then I can do production tracking. Sorry. So in production tracking, I can track the material or the ingredient consumption. I can track the labor. I can track the machine time. I can track what are the finished goods or byproducts or wastage produced at the end of it. So if I quickly click on production tracking to show you the production tracking screen, just a quick glimpse of how it looks like. As you can see, there are 3 checkboxes for all kind of tracking. And then I can track my operations individually. As you can see, I can enter the runtime, setup time, and all those things. And then there's another important thing. I can track each operation by linking it to the employees, like which employee is working on that operation. So I can register their clock in time, clock out time, breaks, and all those things, right? And then we have different messages, like what are the message on that current operation? Like, is there a break? Like, is there a blocking message on it? Is the production complete? Is there an issue with the machine parts? All those things. And then comes the manufacturing, which is again nothing but the finished good and the byproduct tracking. So it's telling me that, okay, this much quantity is completed and this much is on byproduct. And then going further on the components, again, I can track my components. Like I am expecting to consume 10.50, but I can be consuming more than that. So based on the quantity tracked, I can generate a yield report on resources, on material, and on my finished goods. And on the right hand side, again, you can see I have the capability of generating manufacturing labels and stock labels right from my production tracking. And also there is a capability of generating the non-conformance, which I will be covering later. But within production tracking, I can create a non-conformance for any raw material, I mean any ingredient or any finished good. So that's my production tracking screen. Now, based on the setup of the product, the finished good or the work order receipt products can be directly pushed to a quarantine status, which is nothing but a quality check status. And from there, I will be able to see the analysis or quality request in my quality workbench, which I will be again showing in deep in my next flowchart. So once, let's say the finished good have gone successfully and passed the quality checks, I can store them into my warehouse and then allocate it to sales order delivery. And once I've allocated it to sales order delivery, I can subsequently generate an AR invoice. So that's a typical flow from sales order through work order to again delivering them. But there could be another scenario where I am involving my purchasing as well. Like there could be ingredients where I am critically short of them right now. So I can go and create a purchase order for them. So like I said, for purchasing as well, we can start it from scratch, where we are sending out the RFQs to the multiple suppliers for logging the responses on price, what quantity they can deliver, what's the delivery lead time. And based on the responses from the suppliers, we can analyze the responses and finalize and approve a supplier. So that capability is also possible in Sage X3. And then once we have finalized the supplier, then we can send out the purchase request to the supplier for acknowledgement. Once they acknowledge the purchase request, the terms and condition on the purchase request, we can convert it into a purchase order. And once we have done that flow, now again, we come back to the same process map. We create a purchase order, and Sage X3 supports normal purchase order, open purchase order, service purchase order, contract purchase order, back-to-back scenarios, and dropship purchase orders. So after we have logged in the purchase order, we can again trigger and have a capability of triggering a purchase approval signature on them. So once we have done that, then we can receive the purchase orders and have a put away plan. And if the setup is done for the ingredients to go through a quality check, then they will again be pushed to a quarantine status and go through a QC check before they're finally consumed in our manufacturing. So that's the overall view of process manufacturing organizations, like what capabilities Sage X3 has. Now I will quickly jump to showing you the characteristics we can define for any item in Sage X3. First of all, we have the capability of having different categories. We can have finished good category, semi-finished good, ingredients category. Then we can have unique product IDs. We can attach pictures for all the products. Then we can have the region or state of them or country of origin for the products. And if I go further, then there is another important feature which is available in X3 is whether do we want to have a detailed traceability on this product or not. Let's say I have a detailed traceability. Then we have stock management, whether this product is stocked in my warehouse or not. Now going further, There's another important characteristics relevant to food and beverage is the food allergen. So I can define the food allergens on all the products. As you can see, this is a grayed out field because this is a finished good and it's rolling up the allergens based on the ingredients used. So I can manually define the ingredients on, manually define the allergens on my ingredients, and then it will roll up to my finished good. The the third important feature is it has the capability of having both lot or serial traceability. And within lot as well, we can let the system know that whether it will be an optional lot, mandatory lot, and we can, in lot, we can have sub lots as well. So that's generally relevant to food and beverage industry. And if we are not having lot management, then we can switch to serial management, and we can let the system generate the serial numbers, or we can manually input them. Then the fourth important feature is having the shelf life control, which is the expiration control. So we can input the lead time that, let's say if we produce the finished good on 24th of November, then with the lead time of 30 days, it will be having an expiration date of 23rd of December, right? And then we have another important feature, which is UBD, and UBD is use by date. So we have a coefficient defined here, 1. That means the use by date will also be same as my expiration date. But if we are conservative regarding the products, like we think it's best to use 0.9%, so it will automatically convert it to 27 days for the use by date. So that's another capability of recontrol and expiration for shelf life management. And then we can have multiple unit of measure for stocking them, for purchasing, sales, and different conversion capabilities within them. So that's a high level view of what we can define on products, right? And then within products as well, we have the capability of having different kind of costing method based on the preferences of the organization. And if I show you quickly on product side, we have different methods like average lot cost, average cost, FIFO, LIFO, revised standard cost. So it depends on the preference of the organization. And we can have different cost for each site. So let's say for an organization, there are 3 different sites. So it's very likely all the 3 different sites can have their own average cost, their own standard cost in producing those goods, right? So that's how flexible X3 is to have control over costing as well. Now, if you see on the right hand side, I have different menus. Like I can do a production reporting on this product. I can do a material consumption reporting. I can do cost pricing, production cost history, list of orders. So let me go back to my subway map. And okay, sorry, before I jump to my subway map, I want to show you how X3 has the capability of using recipes or defining recipes for the product. So I'm going to click on formula here. So every recipe has 3 aspects to it. So first one is the finished good, what unit of measure we are going to use here. Second one is component, and the third one is routings, which is nothing but operations. So if you see, this is my parent product, and I have the capability of managing or defining this recipe for one parent product, or per 100, per 1000, percentage, and lot. So based on my management unit, I can define what is going to be my consumption of the ingredients. So as you can see, there are 3 ingredients. I would say 2 ingredients, and third is my byproduct. So if I scroll right, you see I'm linking the quantity which is needed for each of the ingredient. I can manually define this quantity, or I can have the flexibility of putting in a formula that it refers to my last production, what was the quantity consumed for the same parent product in my previous work order. And I can put that formula here, and it will automatically, dynamically pick it up from my previous work order. So that's one thing very good about components. And as I showed you earlier, it has allergen setup within ingredients. It has percentage scrap, like how much scrap I'm expecting from this ingredient. And if I go to routings, I can define what all different variation of operations are there for this product. So I have these 4 operations going through, right? So first one is labor, third one is labor, and the second and fourth one are my machines. So I can do tracking, like I need three people on my first machine and 3 people on my second machine. And then I have the capability of defining that how much is the expected runtime for this operation. Then I can tell what's the efficiency of the operation, what's the shrinkage. Like there are some scenarios where if we input 100 kg of the products based on milling, sprouting, drying, it basically shrinks the quantity of that particular product. So we can define shrinkage. So that's about routing, right? So then I can have a look at the production slip, like in integration with my operations as well as my ingredients. So if I may show and expand all, it's showing me the end-to-end picture of my finished good. So it's saying I need these two ingredients, this is my byproduct, and these are my operations. So these are some of the basic capabilities within X3, right? And then if I go to shop floor tracking, so it is also another detailed feature inbuilt within X3 that we can do the shop floor tracking by each employee or by teams. So by employee mean I can log in their setup start time, setup end time, what's the actual run start of the machine and run end of the machine. I can log in their breaks in it. And the second way of logging in time is through the whole team. We can create a team and then we can assign a couple of employees to them, that they all three are working on the machine simultaneously, and we can log their time consecutively at the same time. And then I have the capability of employee activity check. Then I can check like what employees were doing through the whole day today, and I can trigger a report at the end of the day to the workshop manager that he can have a look at it or she can have a look at it and just validate that, okay, this is fine, there are no delays in production. So that's about shop floor tracking. Now, since I have shown you the work order production tracking part, now comes the planning part, where we want to do the cost analysis. I want to check the price of the raw ingredients because they can fluctuate drastically and make it challenging for companies to regulate expenses and pricing. And Sage X3 fast reporting and analysis capability give food and beverage companies a significant advantage to quickly factor in the price. So when I say that we have different inquiries on production cost, we can compare the cost between two work orders, between two production facilities. We can do multiple comparison across cost types. So I can compare my budgeted cost with the actual cost. And then finally, I can run a analysis on my industrial production cost. So I'm going to open one screen for cost analysis. So if you see, this is one of the production work order which is in progress, and it says that one bag of my raw brown rice was about to be produced, and I have completed only 0.5. Until now, this is my cost which has gone into producing that 0.5 bag. What's the material cost, labor cost, machine cost, overhead cost, and then it compares it with the expected cost of that component based on the recipe defined, and then it tells me the variance. Right now it's way off because of the setup, how it's done. And then you have a chart on the right hand side, which is basically one chart over the other chart. So you can see I was expecting cost of only $5 in producing that, but I am having a lot of other components as well in producing this. Then I can dig deep to each of the component. Like for product, what's like I can go to the detail level, that what amount of product is produced, what amount of byproduct, is there any adjustment, is there any overhead, and same goes for material, labor, machine, and overhead. So it has the capability of tracking everything to the detail level. So that's my cost analysis, right? And I have cost comparison as well. Now let me switch to the setup of the data. So I can define the user defined work centers, which is nothing but operational steps. I can have different routing codes. So one parent product can go through one routing code, the other one can go through the another one. Then I can set up standard operation, and after I have set up all of this, I can do an analysis on all the work centers, like what all work centers are in use right now, what's the capacity currently used, what's the utilization percentage, and all those analysis on that. And then for each work center, I can have different costing element, and we call them costing dimensions. So labor can have a different costing dimension, work centers can have a different costing dimensions. Then comes the quality control. And within quality control, as you have seen, like the quality workbench gets the analysis request from these three kind of scenarios. One is product receipt, so which is nothing but if we are receiving an ingredient from a supplier, we don't directly accept it and store it, and we actually do a quality analysis on top of it. And the good thing about quality within Sage X3 is that it allows you to do a sampling on the materials. So it has an acceptable quality level, which is as per FNOR X06021 standards and the X06022 standards. So basically this field indicates the general control level on the products, and we can have different levels, but we usually recommend and use level 2, which is regularly delivered by Sage X3. So it's totally in line with the ISO standards. Then like I was saying, we can have analysis requests from the suppliers. We can have analysis requests based on the finished good or semi-finished good produced within the facility, and we can manually trigger the analysis request as well. So if I go to my quality workbench, I will see the list of all the quality analysis worksheets which are pending for QC check right now. And if I go here, and this is so it tells me that this is the record which is on quality check pending right now. If I click on the 3 dots, I can have different templates of going and doing the QC on different category of products. So raw material can have a different quality record sheet or different set of questions. Finished good can have a different set of questions. Semi-finished goods can have a different set of questions. And then there can be separate individual requests from customers as well. So this is something which is totally configurable. We can have different questions. We can have different set of responses as well. As you can see, weight is a totally free field. But if I go to color, I can define the set of responses only which will be acceptable for logging into the system. And based on the responses, logged for each sampling, we can then decide whether this quality control is accepted, is crossing the threshold, or it's within the limits. So that's how we show the quality control for all the products, and they are totally all the test results are recorded and maintained together with the production history. So I am going out of my workbench and I'm going back to the same flow. So once the QC workbench analysis request has passed, we release the stock and print the certificate of analysis. So I'll be showing the report printouts for all of them. And then once the stock is released, the certificate of analysis is printed and attached with the product. We then store it in the warehouse. Now from here, there are 2 ways to go forward. One is this stored product is good for delivery for to any customer, right? And we attach the printout of the certificate of analysis, and we can also send a certificate of analysis copy to the customer directly through electronic means. If not, like the product is stored in my warehouse for a longer time and it has reached its expiration date, then it automatically triggers a recontrol quality analysis request, which again goes into my workbench, and whoever is the quality control person, he will again look at the analysis request, go and pick a sample from the product and send it to the lab or do a in-house testing. So that's one way where we have passed the quality sheet. Another is ones where we have failed. So one where we have failed, we actually go and do a rework on that product. And in order to do rework, let's say we are storing it into a different location called quarantine location, where we are gathering all the products where we have to do a QC, where we have to do a rework on them. Another one is we just reject the product right away and we either dispose them or send it back to the customer, send it back to the supplier to send the correct products, or whatever action is required on that. Or the another one is we do another production step on it, like we do microbial reduction on it, we do milling again, we do drying again, so that it meets the requirement, and it again goes into our QC workbench after the production step, and then again the flows continue. So that's how like the QC workbench is there. It satisfies the FMSA standards as well within North American region, and for complying with any history we need for all these products. So that's about QC. Now I'll jump to non-conformance. So non-conformance is another important aspect in food and beverage industry, where we have to keep record of all the non-conformances raised in the system. And non-conformances can be triggered on the supplier receipt. So once we receive the product from the supplier, we realize that this product does not meet our requirements. We realize that this product is faulty, or it was not handled correctly during shipping. So we raise a non-conformance against that purchase receipt, and then we decide what action we have to take against that non-conformance. Either we can send it back to the supplier, or we can ask the supplier to give us the refund for the products. We can ask the supplier to send us the products again, or we dispose them. So we can define, or we can decide what action we are going to take. And once we have decided the action, we can implement that non-conformance action. And those actions, there are user defined actions within system as well. But if those actions does not fulfill the organizational requirements, then we can definitely define user defined additional actions. And then another non-conformance can be on our own production. Like if we have subcontracted the products to another organization for production for us, then when they send us the products based on production receipt, we can create a non-conformance on top of that as well. And the another non-conformance can be customer return. So let's say we send certain finished good to the products, and when they send it back to us due to any reason, and we realize that this was not the condition in which they were sent to the customer, then we can again raise a non-conformance against customer return and ask them to either pick up the products or we can dispose them. So that's about non-conformance. And so the final, not the final, I would say the penultimate feature about Sage X3 is the traceability. So like traceability, so Sage X3 provides systems to help companies track ingredients, products, and understand the most effective methods to update the processes and enable easy recalls based on allergens, right? So we have the capability of both forward and backward traceability across the supply chain. So in this case, I'm going to take an example of the same product for which I was showing the work orders, and I'm going to pick up any lot, and I'm going to ask to show me the traceability for this product. Since this is backward traceability, it's showing me that this finished good lot number 004 was produced from these two ingredients, which were ending in 002 and 003. And both of them, if I scroll right, were received from the suppliers. So this is my supplier code, and I go further, it tells me the supplier name. So I received these two ingredients from these two suppliers, and how much quantity was received is shown in stock quantity, and it's giving me the transaction number as well. So that's a very basic backward traceability. Now I can run forward traceability, like when this finished good was produced, to which customer was it shipped to. So as you can see, this is the lot number. Like we have a parent and child relationship, and it's telling me that this particular lot number was produced from this work order. Then it went through this quality analysis request. So it's for, like I said, like quality maintains the history of QC sheets along with the production history. So that's where we can track them. Like this is the QC sheet. If anytime I want to look into the system, I can look for this transaction number. And then it tells me the shipment number, and it was sent to this customer, how much quantity was shipped, what was the lot number, and what's the customer name, Walmart. So that's how the forward and backward traceability works in X3. Like this is a small example. So we can run forward and backward traceability on the whole lot, sub lot, or serial number. And then there is another traceability. So this traceability was based on lots and products. We have another traceability called journal traceability. So we have like document traceability by customer, supplier, subcontractor. So we can pick up a document for a customer, and we can search the traceability based on that document, like what work order was related to it, what supplier from where we procured these ingredients, so on and so forth. So that's about traceability. And then we have obsolescence, inactive, projected stock, different kind of inquiries on stock. So if I run the obsolescence stock, I can have a reference of expiration, I can have a reference of use by date or recontrol, and then I can give the relevant date, and I can give the margin dates. So it's telling me that all these products and this much quantity is already expired, and this was their expiration date. So it's telling me what's the use by date and recontrol. Now there's another inquiry called inactive stock. So inactive stock is basically my slow moving stock, or I can say totally inactive stock, on which I have not received any work order or any production order, sales order, so on and so forth. So I can search. So these are some of the products which have been inactive for like a couple of for a long time. So I can define my criteria, like what would be the inactive start date. So I can say from 1st of November, tell me what's my inactive stock. So it's narrowing down my research. So if I say, tell me the from 1st of October, so I can narrow down this search. So that's about inactive stock. Then projected stock is something which takes into account my current work orders, current sales order, current purchase orders, and tell me that what's the projected stock on this product. So that's how the query works. Like it's telling me this is the expected stock if this sales order is completed. So that's about the main view of then we have a very good capability which is called Sage Enterprise Intelligence. So this is a business intelligence tool which give us insights on our current production processes, bottlenecks, and opportunities, and it gives us a very detailed analytics and dashboards. So as you can see, this is my sales dashboard, and I can filter it by year. I can customize this dashboard based on the user. It's telling me what are my top 5 customer, top 5 products, top 5 sales rep, payment method, so on and so forth. So this is very detailed analytics into my sales. Then I have a dashboard for finance. So this could be a dashboard for a CFO. So as you can, so it's loading right now. It's running the engine to load the current figures. So as you can see, it's telling me what's the outstanding days on inventory, what's the payable days, sales days, cycle, cash to cash cycle, what are my account payables, what are my account receivables, what's my net income, revenue, gross margin, what's my leverage ratio, liquidity ratio, net income progression, gross margin. So it's a very useful tool to run the analytics on the data. And then I have a purchase dashboard, I have a production dashboard as well. So it's seamlessly integrated into X3. So it runs on top of my data. So that's the gist of Sage X3. Like it's a very handy and very user-friendly browser agnostic application which handles all the aspects of any food and beverage organization, from production, getting the products in the warehouse, till we invoice the customer, receive the payment, do the bank reconciliation, and so forth. And that's all from my side. Sean, handing over back to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to go over a quick slide, like why IWI and Sage X3. As what we showed you here today, it's just all standard out of the box. It comes with a standard tool set built for industry-specific capabilities for the food and beverage industry, such as recipe management, your quality control, your forward, backward traceability, compliance, etc., and your lot tracking. And just it's going to streamline your production and your inventory control, your distribution, and your financial tasks. And we'll be able to help you with those challenges that people run into on a daily basis, you know, with seasonal demand and your food safety ingredients and allergen management and you know, the small margins in the food industry that that is driving control costs, and just helping with compliance and the food traceability, recall management, etc., and just the ever-changing consumer expectations and sustainability, and just allow you to adopt that technology.